Hello and welcome to the Bulletproof Trust FAQ webinar. So often after watching the webinar, some people may have questions that we just didn't get to inside of that webinar presentation. So ultimately, we want to answer some of the most common questions and really give a little bit more detail that we weren't able to cover prior. So before we begin, I just want to give this disclaimer. This is not legal or financial advice. We are not attorneys or a law firm. This is to be considered lay opinion. Of course, that's just to really protect our heinies. So how is this trust legal? Well, it's actually protected under the U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1, and what that basically states is Congress and no state shall enter into any treaty or create any law that will abridge private contracts. And this trust is a private contract. And I'll get into a little bit more of why this is a private contract and not a public one, and how every other trust is actually a public contract. So this is a big stepping stone towards understanding that this is a constitutionally protected and constitutionally sound trust. Why? Well, again, no law or treaty shall be entered into that will abridge private contracts. And a lot of people may end up stating, hey, the government doesn't follow the Constitution, they break it all the time. They don't actually break it. They amend it. It takes the power of the Constitution. It's only been amended a very few minute number of times. And ultimately, when you say they break the Constitution, it's because there's actually two laws of the land inside this country. And for the elites, well, they're the ones who created the Constitution. So they're not going to go and shoot themselves in the foot by breaking their own laws that they wrote to protect themselves. What they instead wrote for everybody else, the people who don't actually know their rights, they wrote statutory laws. And those are the things that are broken that can actually override the U.S. Constitution because you don't claim any sort of protection under the U.S. Constitution. The maxim of law goes, he who does not assert, and of course know, his right, which means to even claim it, has no rights at all. So again, you have to claim protection under the U.S. Constitution in order to be protected by the U.S. Constitution. So I know it seems sometimes redundant that, hey, isn't that what courts are supposed to uphold? Actually, no. They operate under multiple jurisdictions and multiple laws. And if you don't claim the U.S. Constitution, they're going to assume that you're operating under statutory law. And that's where things can, of course, get hairy and people feel like, my rights have been violated, right to bear arms, freedom of speech, all these other things. Absolutely, we do have that when you claim it. That's the big thing. So what makes this different from other trusts? Well, it's statutory. So it's not actually created under statutory laws, or it's not created under U.S. laws, and it's in that jurisdiction. And the real thing behind that is like I said, statutory laws is what the elites have made for the rest of society. It's not what actually they follow. They follow the Constitution. They made that for themselves, and they never want anybody to change that ever, no matter how much money they have. That's why it takes the act of Congress. It takes the Supreme Court. It takes all these highest courts in the land in order to do anything to the U.S. Constitution. Now, trusts made under statutory laws can be easily, whimsically broken very easily. All it takes is one governor, one court, one time for someone to say, I don't think that's a good law, we're going to change it, and it's over. Everything that people have worked hard for that are made under statutory trust law is going to be broken. So, how does a trust protect me? Well, ultimately, I like to ask this question. If you drive a company car, and you get into an accident while in company time, who's responsible for the car accident? You or the company? And obviously, I'm going to assume that a lot of you have answered the company, right? Well, replace company for trust, and that's the exact same situation that you have. When you place a car inside of a trust, guess what? You're driving the trust car. Every time you get into that car, you're always on trust time. You're never doing it for personal reasons. Even if you're running to the store for groceries, guess what? The trust is putting you on the clock, whether you're paid hourly or not. Usually, most times, you're paid a wage or a salary. And what that will ultimately mean is that you're always, when you're driving that car, on the trust's time. So, with that being said, if you get into an accident, guess who's going to be responsible? The trust, exactly. And that's the main idea to hold in. Everything that you do is under the trust. So you're not at any point in time operating under your personal capacity. You're always operating as a trustee for the trust. And that means that you are always protected under the trust's umbrella. So that leads us to our next question, which is, well, how do you know this actually works? Well, Carlton Weiss was actually a private investigator for multiple elite families, the Rothschilds. That's actually how they're pronounced in their German name. Rothschilds is how we say them in America. The Rockefellers, the Sinclairs, and the Windsors for 30 plus years. His entire job was to break and pierce trust. That's all he did, and he was darn good at his job. But he came across one trust that he could not pierce. This is that trust. So ultimately, again, he did a lot of work. He pierced a lot of trusts. That was his entire life's work. And once he found the one that he was unable to do and able to pierce, well, guess what? He got real interested, found out what it was, found out how it was made, contacted the people, learned more about these types of trusts, and this is how we came across the information that you now have today. So, can this trust be pierced? Well, there's only two ways that a bulletproof trust can actually be pierced. One is the trust actually harms someone, just like the car accident scenario. Again, you're not going to be personally responsible. The trust would, so of course the trust has to pay out. But again, if you rewatch the webinar and see how Ted Kennedy still didn't lose a dime after killing someone while drunk driving, boy, could you get any more at fault than that? He still didn't lose any money. Number two, the trust did not keep trust minutes showing a legal paper trail for the courts to follow what actions the trustee or trust has performed. And that's very easy. You can honestly do that. It takes 5 minutes. You only have to do it once a year. And even before you go to court, you could make these trust minutes and create them instantly. So that way there is a legal paper trail. That's about it. It's really hard to pierce one of these trusts unless you do something completely wrong. That's about the only way that that's going to occur. So, can I put my business, my car, my money in the Bulletproof Trust? Absolutely. Whether it's an LLC, a C Corp, an S Corp, a car, a home, bank accounts, you name it, you can put anything and everything into these trusts. And instead of you being the owner of the LLC or the C Corp or being the president of the C Corp, the trust is now going to be primary 100% shareholder of the C Corp or 100% owner of the LLC. And then you're going to get paid out as the trustee. So, do I need to separate my car, my home, my money into a unique trust for each one? Yes. Don't let one part of your life affect another part. Again, going back to that car incident scenario, because it's very easy to understand. If you get into a car accident, that should be in a bulletproof vehicle trust. The plaintiff cannot sue for the home, which should be placed inside of a bulletproof property trust. So again, since each of these things are separate, one part of your life should not affect any other part. That's as simple as it gets. As long as you have these separated out, these will ultimately never affect another part of your life. Only the part that may have actually injured someone, usually that's going to be a car accident, unless of course your trust is, utilizing slave labor or things like that, then of course, yes, you're creating human rights violations. But even then, just like the elites, guess what? That company that had human rights violations has no other wealth that is owned outside of that initial little portion that performed, yes, the human rights violation. This is why companies like Coca-Cola, and I won't get into them, but there's a lot out there that utilize slave labor. Just look at any sweatshop that is basically owned by every, and I mean basically every kind of company that produces clothing. They have none of the rest of their assets or their company owned in any type of that trust that is performing those issues. So again, this is why you separate the trusts. It's quite amazing what the elites do and why they're able to get away with it, legally speaking, because it's legally sound. So can a lawyer make this for me? Unfortunately, no. A lawyer or an attorney, though, can give legal counsel in the creation of the trust. A lawyer or attorney can even represent you, the trust, in court as well. The reason why a lawyer isn't able to make one of these trusts is because it is a private trust. It's a constitutional trust. And lawyers or attorneys have what's known as a bar license. And that bar license comes with certain stipulations. And one of those stipulations is if you create trusts, they have to be statutory trusts, only statutory trusts. So, of course, an attorney cannot do that. Now, if your attorney was willing to set their bar license aside, which is few and far between because that bar license acts like insurance for them. If they happen to screw something up, if they happen to give bad legal advice, well, that bar license comes over, shields them like insurance, and therefore they're not actually liable for anything at all. So few and far between. It's better just to learn how the trust is made. You'll understand that you can make it yourself. It's already pre-written. You just basically fill in the blanks. That's it. Go to a notary. Get the notary to sign, so that way you have public record that the trust was made. That's really the only portion of public exposure for this trust there is. And again, even still, guess what? That notary can only show that book under court record. And guess what? It can only show that this trust was made and that so-and-so signed it. That's it. There is no other information that the notary is going to have outside of the creation of the trust, which creates a paper trail showing that the trust was made. That's really all you need. You don't actually have to have a lawyer, but you can definitely have a lawyer give legal counsel, looking over the trust, giving any sort of advice like that. And then, of course, the lawyer can represent you as the trustee or the trust in court as well. So how does this reduce my tax liability? Well, you're paid as a trustee, which makes all the income as a trustee non-tax obligated. So anyone that sits on a board of trustees, even statutory ones, can actually tell you this is correct. That's the whole idea behind being a trustee and why it's such a sexy thing. And if you actually understand the elites, kind of how they pay each other off isn't by giving themselves money and just saying, here's this, here's that, here's a contract. They actually sit on each other's boards of trustees, and it allows them to pay the other person off as a trustee on the board, and it's non-tax obligated. So again, they're not paying taxes on anything, and it's kind of their way of saying, hey, I'm going to pay you $1 million, completely tax-free. Just come over here, sit on a board, and all you're going to do is have one meeting every single year, and you just got to talk about a few things for 10 or 15 minutes. That's it. And then you get your $1 million salary or paycheck, and it's all non-tax obligated. Isn't that beautiful? That's how they do this. That's how they transfer wealth in between each other and even pay themselves from their companies that these trusts own. So, how does the W-2 employee stop the employer from taking out taxes? Well, this is actually discussed inside Social Security Secrets. That comes with the Bulletproof Trust. But in short, it's about utilizing the Privacy Act. And the Privacy Act states that there's only four times that someone can demand a Social Security number from you. They're pretty obvious once I discuss them. Number one, to receive Social Security benefits, right? Can't receive Social Security benefits unless you got a Social Security number. Two, to report or pay taxes. That's pretty obvious. You can't fill out any sort of form, whether it's a 1040EZ, 1040X, or a million other things, without having a Social Security or EIN number. Three, to apply for a driver's license. And then four, which goes hand with number three, to obtain public insurance for that vehicle which you have a driver's license for. Those are the only 4 times someone can demand Social Security from you. So your employer being able to ask you for a Social Security number isn't actually a legal obligation, and they will be legally obligated under the Privacy Act to remove that Social Security number from their records when properly asked under the Privacy Act. And we have those documents laid out inside the Bulletproof Trust package. All you have to do is fill in the blanks and follow the instructions, and you can remove your Social Security number so you are no longer a W-2 employee. And ultimately what that means is that there's no longer going to be withholdings, state taxes, all those other things, Social Security taxes, etc. Now, can I use a 508c1a instead? That was talked about inside the webinar. That was one of our ways. And I just want to say, not unless you're a church. If you are a church, absolutely you can. If you use a 508c1a, but you are not a church according to the IRS's 14-point religious organization guidelines, they will, I repeat, they will come after you and you will lose everything. We've seen this with a number of people who have tried to operate as a 508c1a. There are plenty of court records of people doing this and losing everything and ending up in debt as much as $500,000 simply because they weren't a church. You have to be a church in order to qualify as a free church under a 508c1a. So, what if I end up in court with this trust? Well, we have 10 plus methods to protect the Bulletproof Trust from ever being pulled into court. And that's even after you've violated one of the two ways it can actually be pierced. But let's say that you broke the rules we stated earlier, right? You hurt someone or there's no trust minutes. The proceeding would be what's known as in camera, which means it's 100% private and it takes places in the judge's chambers. So that means no records, no public hearings, nothing. It's all decided by the judge right then and there. And ultimately, by reading over the Bulletproof Trust indenture, it will be an easy determination that this is a constitutional trust which is unable to be pulled into court unless, again, the trust has hurt someone or there is no trust minutes kept, which again creates a legal paper trail of X and Y and Z went into the trust, and the trustees, of course, recognize this by signing the trust minutes. That's it. That's all there is. So, with that being said, I want you to realize that this is a very powerful system. If you do still have questions, you can call our secure voicemail line at 1-855-50-TRUST. Leave a detailed message with your full name, address, and credit card number, including expiration. We'll return your call tomorrow and answer questions we don't get to in the final minutes here, and then we'll confirm and process your order. Again, we're not going to charge your card at all until we reach out to you, answer your questions, you confirm that you're ready to move forward, and then we'll confirm and process your order right then and there. If you want to get started right now, again, it's $9.97 one time. Just go to privatewealth.academy/go, or if you're not able to make the $9.97, there is financial difficulties, you can make 2 payments of $5.97. That'll be 30 days apart. Ultimately, again, we want to be here and answer every question for you. So if you have any questions at all, just dial that number, 855-50-TRUST. When you dial that number, there's not going to be anyone that will pick up, so that way you're able to simply leave a detailed message, get going, and we'll be able to return your call the next day and answer any questions that you may have. So that's what we want to do, is make sure that you're completely understanding of what this process is, how it protects you, why it protects you, and any other things that you may have that's, of course, holding you from pulling that trigger. That being said, I want to wish you all the best of success in using this Bulletproof Trust, because it is going to revolutionize your life. And you're going to see the world from the way and the point of view that the elites see the world, which is, it's almost like having an invisible cape that hides you from everything that could hurt you. And you're able to walk around in the public world, operate, do business, drive your car, keep your money, keep your gold, keep your assets, keep your home, all protected without any risk. That's what this is all about.